What if training AI on your favorite books or even Disney fan art was actually legal? A new court ruling has just handed the AI industry a significant victory, and it could impact the ongoing lawsuit between Disney and Universal against Midjourney. Let's break it down. In a federal court decision dated June 23, 2025, Judge William Alsup ruled in favor of Anthropic, an AI company founded in 2021 and based in San Francisco, which was established by former OpenAI researchers. The company employs up to an estimated 1,300 people. Major backers include Google, which invested $2 billion, and Amazon, which doubled that amount to $4 billion via an AWS partnership. Other investors include Menlo Ventures and Salesforce. This order grants summary judgment for Anthropic that the training use was a fair use and did not violate copyright law when it used copyrighted books to train its language model named Claude. The court said that this use was spectacularly transformative because the AI didn't regurgitate the books. Instead, it learned from them to generate original content. Think of it like a human learning to write by reading novels. Here's how the ruling breaks down fair use. Training AI on copyrighted books, as long as outputs don't copy them directly. Comparing the process to how humans read and learn from books. As long as Claude's outputs did not reproduce or closely mimic the original works, the internal memorization was permissible under fair use. Digitizing legally purchased books for space saving and searchability. Anthropic's practice of buying print books, scanning them into digital form, and storing them in a central research library for use in training AI was also deemed fair use. The court likened this to space-saving archiving, transformative not in expression but in utility. What was not fair use? Downloading pirated books from sites like LibGen and Books3 just to stock a massive digital library and keeping those pirated books indefinitely, even if they weren't used for training. Anthropic downloaded millions of pirated books to build a forever research library. Quote, creating a permanent, general-purpose library was not itself a fair use excusing Anthropic's piracy. The judge ruled that this was not transformative and violated the rights of copyright holders, regardless of later uses. In other words, if you bought the book and used it responsibly, you're likely in the clear. But if you stole it online and kept it forever, that's still copyright infringement, AI or not. It is important to note that the court document ends with, "We will have a trial on the pirated copies used to create Anthropic's central library and the resulting damages, actual or statutory." That Anthropic later bought a copy of a book it earlier stole off the internet will not absolve it of liability for the theft, but it may affect the extent of the statutory damages. Let's talk about the elephant or the mouse in the room. Disney and Universal's lawsuit against Midjourney. The claim is that Midjourney unlawfully scraped and used their protected visual content to train AI, then produced unauthorized reproductions, both in still images and potentially videos. Ways the Anthropic ruling could weaken Disney and Universal's case. It strengthens the legality of training AI on copyrighted content. The ruling in Anthropic's favor that using copyrighted books to train an LLM, Claude, was quintessentially transformative and fell under fair use, even though the AI retained compressed internal representation of those works. If Midjourney can frame its training similarly as a means of learning stylistic patterns rather than replicating IP, it may argue that its model is just learning to draw in different styles. much like Claude learned to write like a novelist. This helps normalize the idea that training on copyrighted content doesn't automatically equal infringement, which directly challenges the core of Disney and Universal's complaint. Fair use does not require a license if the output isn't infringing. The judge in the Anthropic case emphasized that no infringing output had been proven. That is, Claude didn't spit out whole paragraphs from any book. Midjourney could now claim if our outputs don't reproduce actual character names or movie scenes in full detail, then we're not infringing, just like Claude wasn't. This sets a potential legal threshold. It's not about what was trained on, but what the user sees. Fan art factor becomes more legally tolerable. The Anthropic ruling noted that methodologies, styles, and expressive principles are not protected under copyright. Fan art, especially when stylized or derivative, might be viewed similarly. If Midjourney was trained on public fan art, Disney and Universal may find it more challenging to argue that the model directly copied their original IP. This supports the idea that the model isn't memorizing protected works. It's generalizing from style. Where the Anthropic ruling doesn't help Midjourney. Midjourney is visual, much easier to compare. Text-based models like Claude are challenging to replicate exactly. But Midjourney's outputs are visually tangible and easily compared. Disney and Universal reportedly included side-by-side comparisons of generated images with their original characters. If a court finds these images to be too substantially similar, that crosses into potential infringement territory, even if the training was fair. Anthropic was not accused of output infringement. In the Anthropic case, no one ever saw infringing content. That was crucial. Disney and Universal are claiming that Midjourney produces infringing results, such as images resembling Spider-Man, Elsa, or Darth Vader. Even if the training is deemed legal, the outputs could still be considered infringing. That part of the case is unaffected by the Anthropic precedent. Pirated versus licensed source material. The judge in the Anthropic case drew a clear line. Using pirated books was not fair use. If Midjourney used pirated or scraped data like a copyrighted character concept art that was hosted illegally, that portion of their case could mirror Anthropic's loss and hurt them, not help them. So what could all of this mean? Well, one could say that fair use just got stronger for AI models if they avoid pirated material and don't output direct copies. AI models are beginning to be treated like people. They read, they learn, they write, they even draw. The law is starting to treat them that way as well, at least for right now. If you found the content of this video to be interesting, informative, whatever, you don't have to subscribe. You don't have to click a notification bell. You don't have to smash the like button. I'm not in this for the internet points. Honestly, I'm not. However, if you want to show appreciation, well, you could leave a comment sharing some additional information, adding to the discussion, or in the description, you'll find links to nonprofits that I personally supported in the past. Feel free to donate to any one of those nonprofits. I would personally appreciate that a lot more. Well, that's all I have for this video. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again next time.